Most mornings start the same way for me. A half-awake shuffle to the kitchen, hoping the smell of coffee will wake up something inside. The mug I use has a small chip on the rim. I tell myself I should replace it, but somehow I never do. It's been with me through every early meeting, every late-night worry call from my mom, every morning where I try to hold my life together with caffeine and willpower. Today, the coffee is still hot when I pour it, and for once, I tell myself I'll drink it while it's warm. But before I even take a sip, my phone vibrates. One message from my mom. Can you call the clinic? Another from school. Reminder field trip payment due. I sigh. I tell myself, just one thing at a time. I pick up the phone, start making calls, and by the time I hang up, the coffee's already gone cold. I put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. The sound of the hum fills the silence that used to be peaceful in this house. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when mornings felt slower, when I'd sit by the window, sunlight spilling onto the table, and just breathe. Now, it feels like I live between alarms. One for my kids' breakfast, one for my mom's meds, one for work meetings that start before my brain catches up. The mug dings from the microwave. I take a sip. It's too hot now. I set it down again. This dance reheating, forgetting, reheating again has become a quiet symbol of my life. Always trying to keep something warm that's already cooling. Always trying to show up for everyone else, hoping there's still enough left of me to show up for myself. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the dark surface of the coffee, tired eyes staring back. I whisper, "You used to dream bigger than this." But then a small voice, the one I've learned from years of caregiving, answers, "Not today. Today, just get through. There's love in it, of course. Real love. I wouldn't trade taking care of my family for anything." But there's also a quiet kind of grief for the woman I used to be before every day became a checklist. When I think about Maslow's idea of needs, I realize I've been trying to climb the pyramid on no sleep and cold coffee. It's no wonder I keep slipping. You can't reach for purpose when you're running on empty. I look at the mug again, half drunk, lukewarm, still somehow standing. It reminds me of myself. Still here, still trying. I pick it up and take another sip. It's not perfect, but it's real. The warmth hits my throat like a small kindness I forgot I could give myself. I once read that burnout doesn't always look like collapse. Sometimes it looks like someone doing everything right just without joy. That line hit me hard, because that's exactly what these mornings feel like. Responsible, productive, exhausted. The fridge hums. The traffic outside builds. My day is already waiting. But before I go, I lean against the counter for a moment longer. I let the mug rest in my hands, feeling the heat fade slowly. I realize this small pause, this choice to stand still, is a kind of self-care too. Maybe it's not about perfect balance or grand change. Maybe it starts here, in a kitchen that smells like reheated coffee, where I finally notice I'm tired and decide not to rush that truth away. I take one last sip, still warm. It's not much, but it feels like a promise. To stop treating rest like a reward and start treating it like a right. When I leave the kitchen, I don't wash the mug right away. I leave it by the sink, a little reminder waiting for me tonight. Don't forget to refill. I used to think being strong meant never slowing down. I grew up in a family that praised endurance. Keep moving, keep helping, don't complain. Somewhere along the way, I learned to measure my worth by how useful I was to others. These days, I wake up before everyone else. I pack my kids' lunch, check my mom's meds, glance at emails I don't want to open yet. It's strange, you can love the people in your life more than anything, and still feel like you're disappearing inside all that love. A friend once asked me, "When was the last time you did something just for you?" I laughed. "Does showering count?" We both smiled, but the silence that followed said everything. There's a kind of tiredness that sleep can't fix. It's the exhaustion that comes from holding up too many worlds, your family, your job, your own fragile hopes all at once. I carry it quietly, like a bag I can't set down because someone might need something inside it. Sometimes, when I'm stuck in traffic after work, I turn off the radio and just sit there. That's the only place I can cry without worrying anyone will hear. The tears come not from sadness exactly, but from the pressure of being the one who never drops the ball. The one who always says, "I'm fine," but I'm not fine. Not really. There are moments when I feel guilty for even thinking that. My mom's health isn't her fault. My kids' needs are part of growing up. I chose this life, the job, the house, the care, and yet some days, it feels like the life is choosing for me. The guilt runs deep. It whispers things like, "You should be grateful," and "Other people have it worse." Those sentences sound noble, but they keep me small. They keep me quiet when what I really need is rest. I used to call this love. Now, sometimes, it feels like survival. It's not that I don't want to help. It's that helping never ends. There's no done at the end of the day. Just another load of laundry, another text reminder, another "can you?" And somewhere in the middle of all that doing, I stopped asking what I needed. A few weeks ago, I caught myself staring at my reflection in the microwave door while reheating that same mug of coffee. My face looked older than I remembered, not just from time, but from where. I thought, when did I become the background of my own life? That night, after everyone was asleep, I scrolled through Reddit just to feel less alone. There's a thread called #SandwichGeneration. People my age, mostly women, some men sharing the same quiet ache, taking care of aging parents and young kids at the same time, trying to stay afloat between two generations that both need them. One post stayed with me. A woman wrote, "I cry in my car before daycare pickup. It's the only place I don't have to be strong." I read that line over and over. It felt like she had written it for me. The truth is, I don't want to be rescued. I just want to be seen. I want someone to notice the way my hands shake when I pour coffee in the morning, or how I stare at the wall for a second too long after hanging up a call. I want someone to say, "You've done enough for today. Sit down." But life doesn't work like that, does it? There's no applause for quiet endurance, no medal for holding it all together. Most days, the reward is just making it to bedtime. Still, I'm starting to realize something. Being invisible isn't the same as being unworthy. Maybe I've mistaken invisibility for peace, silence for strength. When I look at that mug now, left untouched since morning, I see it differently. It's not just a symbol of neglect, it's proof of effort. It's what's left after I've given my best to everyone I love. But deep down, I know that can't be the whole story. Because love that costs your health isn't love anymore, it's debt. And I'm tired of paying in exhaustion. The mug sits cold on the counter, waiting for me to come back. Maybe tomorrow I will. Maybe I'll reheat it, or maybe I'll pour a fresh cup just for me. For now, I let myself whisper what I've never said out loud. I love them, but I need me too. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday. The kind of day that looks calm from the outside but feels like drowning in slow motion. I woke up late because I'd been up half the night worrying about bills and my mom's test results. My son had a school project due, and we couldn't find the glue stick. The dog threw up on the rug. It was one of those mornings where everything small becomes heavy. I remember holding my coffee in one hand, phone in the other, trying to talk to the pharmacy about my mom's prescription. The woman on the phone kept repeating, "Please hold," and my kid kept asking, "Mom, where's my shoes?" over and over. And then it happened. I snapped. I slammed the mug down too hard. Coffee splashed everywhere across the counter, the bills, my shirt. My son froze, wide-eyed. I didn't yell, not really, but the silence afterward was worse than shouting. The look on his face said everything. "You scared me." I looked at the spilled coffee dripping off the edge of the counter and felt something in me crack open. I wanted to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. I just stood there, chest tight, heart beating like it was trying to break out. It wasn't about the coffee. It wasn't about the shoes. It was about months, maybe years of trying to be everything for everyone. I cleaned the mess in silence. The mug, the same chipped one I always use, lay sideways in a small brown puddle. I stared at it and thought, this is me. Always spilling, always cleaning, never resting. For a long minute, I couldn't move. The kitchen felt too quiet. The smell of burnt toast mixed with the bitter coffee and the shame in my throat. My son whispered, "It's okay, Mom, that broke me." I sank to the floor and held him. He patted my back, my little boy comforting me like I was the child. That's when I knew something had to change. Not later, not next week, now. Because if I kept going like this, if I kept pouring from the same empty mug, there'd be nothing left of me to give. And that's not love. That's survival on fumes. When he left for school, I sat alone on the kitchen floor for a while. The tile was cold against my skin, but for the first time in months, I didn't rush to stand up. I just breathed. The house hummed softly. Fridge, traffic, a bird somewhere outside. Life going on like it always does. I noticed the mug again, now rinsed but still damp in the sink. It looked smaller than I remembered. I picked it up, turned it over in my hands. There was a faint crack near the handle, probably from that moment earlier. I traced it with my thumb, thinking how many tiny cracks a person can carry before they finally notice they're breaking. People talk about burnout like it's an event, but for me, it was a slow leak energy, patience, joy all dripping out quietly until I was just going through motions. That spill, that tiny moment of coffee on the floor, it wasn't the start of my burnout. It was the truth finally showing itself, and it scared me, because I realized how easy it is to disappear in service of everyone else. How simple it is to lose yourself in love that never circles back. I thought about my mom, how she used to tell me, "Take care of yourself first, sweetheart. You can't pour from an empty cup." I used to roll my eyes when she said it, but that morning, wiping coffee off the tiles, I finally understood what she meant. I didn't need another motivational quote. I didn't need a miracle. I needed permission from myself to stop running. So I poured a new cup, sat down at the table. No phone, no lists, just me, breathing. I let the first sip burn a little. A small reminder that being alive means feeling something again. The mug was warm in my hands. The crack near the handle didn't matter. It still held what it could. And so do I. That morning, I decided, I don't want to live like a leak anymore. I want to live like a refill. After that morning, something inside me softened, not broken, but surrendered. I didn't make any big promises to change my life. I just knew I couldn't keep pretending I was fine. The next day, I sat at the kitchen table before anyone woke up. Same mug, same chipped rim, same routine, but this time, I didn't reach for my phone. I just sat there and waited for the kettle to sing. The hiss filled the room like a gentle reminder. Slow down. I poured the coffee carefully, feeling the weight of the mug in my hand. It wasn't heavy, but it felt real, like a moment that asked for respect. I took one full sip while it was still hot. For once, I didn't multitask. I didn't scroll through emails or plan the day. I just drank my coffee like it was an act of defiance. That tiny pause, 2 minutes, maybe 3, became the first boundary I'd set in years. It sounds small, I know, but when your life revolves around everyone else's needs, choosing yourself, even for a minute, feels like rebellion. I thought about Maslow that morning, about his idea that we can't climb toward love or purpose when our basic needs are starving. It hit me how often I tried to skip the bottom of the pyramid, jumping straight to meaning while ignoring hunger, sleep, peace. I'd been running on fumes, trying to give from a place of emptiness. No wonder everything hurt. So I started slow. I made tiny, ordinary changes that didn't look like much from the outside. I set an alarm not to wake up, but to pause. 10 minutes in the middle of the day where I just step outside, breathe, feel sunlight. I started finishing my lunch instead of eating over the sink. I even began saying a new phrase I stole from a podcast. I want to help, but I need 15 minutes first. The first time I said it out loud, my voice shook, but no one got mad. The world didn't collapse. In fact, people understood. Each of these small things was like pouring another ounce back into the mug. I still had hard days, of course. There were mornings when my mom's pain flared up, or my son forgot his homework, or I cried in the shower because the quiet was too much. But even then, I started to notice something new. The more I cared for myself, the more patience I had for others. Maslow didn't rank love above food by accident. You can't love well if your body is starving for rest.
You can't show compassion if your nerves are frayed beyond recognition.
Taking care of myself wasn't selfish. It was survival. The foundation of every other kind of love. I used to think self-care meant bubble baths and candles. Now I know it can be finishing a cup of coffee while it's still warm. It can be saying no without apology. It can be going to bed before midnight or asking for help without shame. What surprised me most was how these little things began to heal the anger I didn't know I was carrying. That quiet resentment that builds up when you feel unseen. It started to fade when I began seeing myself again. One morning, my son came into the kitchen and said, "You look different." I asked, "How so?" He shrugged, smiling. "Just happier." And maybe I was. Not fixed, not finished, but fuller. The mug still has its crack, but it doesn't bother me anymore. When I pour coffee into it, the warmth spreads through the handle, into my hand, and I think, this is what enough feels like. It's not a miracle, it's maintenance. It's remembering that care doesn't only flow one way. Every sip, every pause, every boundary, they don't take me away from love. They bring me closer to it. There's something I wish someone had told me years ago, that self-care isn't a reward for surviving. It's how you survive. For a long time, I thought strength meant pushing through no matter how tired I was. But now I know that the strongest people aren't the ones who never stop. They're the ones who learn when to rest, when to refill, and when to ask for help without apology. If you're anything like me, juggling kids, aging parents, work deadlines, and the constant noise of being enough, you might already know what it feels like to disappear inside your own life. You might not even remember the last time you did something just for yourself without feeling guilty about it. So let me share what I've learned the hard way. Not from a book or a podcast,
But from sitting at the edge of burnout with a cold cup of coffee and a racing heart.
1. Start with one small ritual that belongs only to you. Mine was coffee. I used to reheat it 3 times and still forget to drink it. Now, I sit down and finish 1 cup. No phone, no multitasking. That's it. Just 5 minutes that remind me I'm a person, not a machine. It's not the coffee that matters, it's the moment you decide you're worth slowing down for. If coffee isn't your thing, find your version of it. A morning walk, a few minutes with your favorite song, a journal entry before bed. The ritual isn't the goal, presence is. 2. Set one honest boundary. It doesn't have to be dramatic. My first one was simple. I want to help, but I need 15 minutes first. The world didn't fall apart when I said it. The dishes still got done. My mom still got her meds. But for the first time, I wasn't running on panic. I was choosing my pace. Boundaries don't mean you stop caring. They mean you stop pretending you can do it all at once. 3. Stop grading your worth by productivity. This one took me years. I used to feel proud when people said, "You do so much." I'd smile, but inside I felt hollow. Now, when someone says, "You seem calmer lately," I know that's the compliment I was missing all along. We live in a culture that celebrates exhaustion as achievement. But there's no trophy for being the most tired. You don't earn love by suffering. 4. Ask for help before it becomes an emergency. I used to wait until I was falling apart before reaching out. Now, I treat help like maintenance, not rescue. Sometimes that means calling my sister just to vent. Sometimes it's hiring a babysitter so I can rest without guilt. Sometimes it's talking to a counselor before I crash. You don't have to break down to deserve care. You just have to be human. 5. Practice grace with yourself. You will still forget appointments. You will still snap sometimes. You will still feel like you're failing. That's life.
Grace isn't pretending everything's fine. It's saying, I'm doing my best, and that's enough for today. Every mistake can become a doorway back to humility, not shame. Maslow said that self-actualization isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. I think that's the quiet truth most of us miss. Wholeness isn't a destination. It's a series of tiny repairs, daily acts of honesty, rest, and care. The mug on my counter reminds me of that. It's chipped and worn, but it still holds warmth. Every refill, every slow sip is proof that something ordinary can carry love if you treat it with gentleness. And maybe that's the point. You don't rebuild your life in one grand moment. You rebuild it sip by sip. So today, before you rush out the door, pause. Pour your coffee, your tea, your glass of water, whatever it is that starts your morning. Sit down for 1 full minute. Let it warm your hands. Let it remind you that you're allowed to have something that's only yours. Because when you take that moment, you're not being selfish. You're being alive. And that's where everything good begins. It's funny how something as simple as coffee can teach you about life. I used to think it was just a drink. Now I swear it's my therapist. Every morning, that same old mug waits for me on the counter. The chip on the rim, still there. I've stopped trying to hide it in photos. It's part of the story now. A scar that says, yeah, I've been through things, but I still hold warmth. There was a time I wanted everything in my life to look perfect. My family, my house, my attitude. Now I've learned that perfection is exhausting and, honestly, overrated. Some mornings I drink my coffee hot. Some mornings it's lukewarm by the time I remember it. And on bad days, I find it sitting in the microwave at 5 p.m., still untouched, like a sad time capsule from my morning self. But even that makes me laugh now, because at least I know why it's there.
It's not because I forgot myself again. It's because I was living. I was showing up for the messy, unpredictable life I still get to have. I used to hate the phrase, find balance. It made me picture myself wobbling on a yoga ball, holding a toddler in one hand and a spreadsheet in the other. But balance, I've realized, isn't some picture-perfect pose. It's a feeling that comes in small waves. Some days, you get 10 minutes of peace. Other days, you get chaos and cold coffee. Both count. The truth is, I don't have it all figured out. I still overcommit. I still feel guilty when I rest too long. Sometimes, I even forget my own advice. But now, I can laugh about it. The other morning, my son asked, "Mom, why do you always talk to your coffee?" I smiled and said, "Because it listens better than most people." He rolled his eyes and said, "You're weird." And I thought, good. Weird means I'm alive again. Humor has become my favorite form of healing. When I spill the coffee now, I don't curse. I grab a towel and say, "Guess the floor needed caffeine too." When I feel overwhelmed, I picture Maslow sitting across from me, sipping espresso, whispering, "Remember the base of the pyramid, my friend." It helps. It helps to remember that healing doesn't have to be serious all the time. You can laugh your way back to peace. You can smile through the learning curve of self-care. You can burn toast, forget an email, and still be growing into the kind of person who treats themselves gently. Most nights before bed, I clean the counter, wash the mug, and set it down by the sink. It's my small ritual of closure. Some people end the day with gratitude lists. I end mine with soap and water. I like seeing the mug clean, waiting. It feels like forgiveness in ceramic form. That tiny cup has carried me through burnout, guilt, and rediscovery. It's seen tears, laughter, and an unreasonable number of microwave reboots. But now, when I pour the coffee each morning, I feel something new. Gratitude, not for the caffeine, but for the chance to begin again. I guess that's the secret no one tells you about midlife. You don't really fix yourself. You just learn how to refill, to laugh, to forgive, and to keep going. Maybe that's all self-care really is, keeping your mug and your spirit warm enough to share. So, tomorrow morning, when you see your own cup sitting there, waiting, I hope you pause. Take that first sip slowly. Don't rush. Let it taste like what it is, proof that you're still here, still trying, still human. And if it goes cold again, well, that's what microwaves and second chances are for.